What if I told you that some of America's most iconic states are struggling with challenges so deep that their futures are at risk? It might seem unbelievable, especially if you're used to thinking of the U.S. as a land of resilience and opportunity. But many states are currently wrestling with economic turmoil, infrastructure decline, and social instability, placing them on a precarious path. In this video, we'll dive into the 10 states where conditions are deteriorating fastest. Get ready for a surprising list, and be sure to stick around to see if your state is on the verge of collapse. Number 10, California, the Golden State. Losing its shine. California has long been a symbol of opportunity, innovation, and luxury. With Silicon Valley's tech boom, Hollywood's entertainment empire, and some of the best universities in the world, you'd think California would be unstoppable. However, behind the glitz, California is grappling with a housing affordability crisis, skyrocketing cost of living, and widespread homelessness. California's housing prices are among the highest in the country, especially in cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles. A single-family home in the Bay Area now costs over $1 million on average, making homeownership an unrealistic dream for many residents. The steep cost of living also forces people into extreme poverty, pushing working-class families to live out of their cars or move to cheaper states. As thousands leave each year, this exodus effect is leading to a shrinking tax base, which weakens California's capacity to address its own growing problems. The future of the Golden State depends on whether it can implement sweeping reforms or if it will see the California dream fade away. Number 9. Illinois. Debt crisis deepens. Once a powerhouse in manufacturing, agriculture, and transportation, Illinois is now buckling under a massive debt crisis. Decades of mismanagement have left Illinois with one of the highest pension debt burdens in the country. This pension debt crisis has made it challenging for Illinois to allocate funding for education, infrastructure, and public services, which has a domino effect on quality of life for residents. Additionally, Illinois has one of the highest property tax rates in the nation. Residents in places like Chicago are seeing their taxes rise as job opportunities shrink, leading to an increase in outward migration. The workforce is shrinking, and so is Illinois' population. Without meaningful reforms, Illinois may find itself unable to fund basic services, putting it on a fast track toward collapse. Number 8. Mississippi. Struggling with infrastructure and income. Mississippi has long been one of the poorest states in the country, and unfortunately, it remains trapped in a cycle of poverty and underinvestment. Infrastructure here is in dire shape. According to federal reports, Mississippi has thousands of bridges considered structurally deficient, and roads across the state are deteriorating at alarming rates. For residents who rely on these roads to commute, the state's decaying infrastructure makes daily life more challenging and dangerous. Mississippi also has some of the lowest educational attainment levels and wages in the U.S., contributing to high poverty rates. Healthcare access is limited, with many rural areas facing a severe shortage of doctors and hospitals. While federal aid offers a temporary solution, experts argue that without private investment and robust economic development, Mississippi's infrastructure and public services are on the brink of collapse. Number 7. New Jersey. High costs, heavy taxes. New Jersey is a state known for its high quality of life in certain areas, but this reputation comes at a steep cost. New Jersey has the highest property taxes in the country, creating a financial burden for homeowners. These high taxes are driving many to reconsider living in the state. Alongside this, the cost of goods, services, and commuting has risen significantly over the years, leaving residents with less disposable income and less incentive to stay. Adding to the economic burden, many companies have started relocating to states with lower taxes and costs, meaning job prospects in New Jersey are shrinking. With these factors pushing residents out and industries looking elsewhere, New Jersey's population is slowly decreasing. If the state doesn't address its high costs, it could see a prolonged economic decline that's hard to recover from. Number 6. Louisiana. Hurricanes and a weak economy. Louisiana's challenges are as complex as they are daunting. The state is constantly in the path of hurricanes and tropical storms, which cost billions of dollars in recovery each year. Rising sea levels and increasing insurance premiums make it difficult for homeowners and business owners to rebuild or invest in properties along the coast. Louisiana also faces an economic struggle. With high poverty rates and limited job opportunities outside of the oil and gas sectors, many residents are either unemployed or underpaid. This is pushing young professionals to leave the state for better opportunities elsewhere, further diminishing Louisiana's economic base. Natural disasters, population decline, and limited economic diversity make Louisiana one of the most vulnerable states in the U.S. Without meaningful changes, Louisiana could face a future where rebuilding becomes impossible, both financially and physically. Number 5. West Virginia, a population decline with no end in sight. West Virginia's once booming coal industry made it one of the economic powerhouses of the early 20th century, but those days are now gone. As coal becomes less relevant in the modern energy landscape, West Virginia is facing an exodus of workers and young people. The lack of economic diversification has left the state with few job opportunities, and as the population ages, there is an increasing strain on healthcare and other public services. With fewer young people choosing to stay, West Virginia is experiencing a sharp decline in its workforce and a shrinking tax base. Many towns are transforming into ghost towns, unable to sustain businesses and services due to low demand. Without significant investment and a shift in focus away from coal, West Virginia's economic collapse feels all but inevitable. Number 4. New Mexico, the desert of opportunities. New Mexico's stunning deserts, mountains, and cultural heritage are a draw for visitors, but the state's economic landscape is not as appealing. Despite being home to major government facilities like the Los Alamos National Laboratory, New Mexico's economy is heavily dependent on government jobs, leaving it vulnerable to federal budget cuts and fluctuations. The state also suffers from underfunded schools, which makes it challenging for students to achieve academic success. Poverty levels remain high, and the lack of private sector growth limits job opportunities. As crime rates rise in certain areas, residents are finding it increasingly difficult to see a future in New Mexico. The combination of low population growth and limited opportunities is slowly dragging the state toward economic decline. Number 3. Connecticut, the wealth gap. Connecticut might be home to some of the wealthiest communities in America, but a sharp divide exists between its affluent areas and its struggling urban centers. The state has one of the highest income inequality rates in the country, with high property taxes and limited job opportunities squeezing the middle class. Cities like Bridgeport and Hartford are struggling to attract businesses and retain young professionals, leaving these areas stagnant. The cost of living in Connecticut is high, and the housing market, particularly around the affluent areas near New York City, remains prohibitively expensive. The result? More people are opting to move out of the state to places where they can find affordable housing and better job prospects. Connecticut's economic woes are a testament to how even wealthy states are vulnerable to issues like high inequality and stagnant job growth. Number 2. Alaska, isolation, cost of living, and climate challenges. Alaska is in a league of its own when it comes to economic and environmental challenges. With its vast landscapes and unique way of life, Alaska draws those who seek isolation and adventure, but these qualities come with significant downsides. Alaska's extreme isolation means that the cost of goods and services is sky-high, since almost everything must be imported. Jobs are limited outside of industries like oil and fishing, which are themselves vulnerable to global market fluctuations. The effects of climate change are being felt strongly in Alaska, where melting permafrost is causing damage to roads, buildings, and other infrastructure. Alaska's fishing industry, which provides both jobs and food for residents, is under threat as rising temperatures alter marine ecosystems. Combined with high costs of living and a challenging job market, Alaska's path toward economic stability is riddled with obstacles that might be impossible to overcome. Number 1. Michigan, a legacy of decline. Michigan's story of decline began decades ago, as the state's manufacturing-based economy took repeated hits from globalization and automation. Detroit, once a thriving hub of the auto industry, has seen significant population loss and urban decay. While Detroit has made strides toward recovery, the progress remains fragile, and many areas of the state are still struggling. Outside of major cities, job opportunities remain limited, and there is a growing disparity in wealth. The Flint water crisis highlighted Michigan's struggles with infrastructure and public services. Residents are paying a steep price for decades of underinvestment, with deteriorating roads, underfunded schools, and rising healthcare costs affecting daily life. Michigan's economy remains in a precarious position, and without sustained investment and job creation, the state's journey toward recovery could stall, leaving it on the edge of a deeper economic crisis. These are the 10 states facing the harshest economic and social challenges in 2025. From soaring costs of living and decaying infrastructure to social inequality and environmental crises, each state has a unique story, but they all share a struggle against impending decline. It's a sobering reality for a nation that prides itself on opportunity and resilience. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments if your state made the list. Stay tuned as we continue to explore the challenges and opportunities facing America's future.